What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Welcome back to another match preview. Club football is back. International football is gone. And we're going to be talking about the Super Sunday clash, the main event of Super Sunday. Goodison Park, Everton versus Manchester United, 4:30 p.m. kickoff over here in the UK. Joined by DJ. DJ, you glad that club football is back? International football is gone. How you doing?
I'm good, Owen, man. It's good to be back. Don't really care for the internationals. But I think the most important thing for us United fans at the moment is United to play well and get some points on the board. So good to be back.
Yes, indeed. It's quite a funny one, this. There's a lot sort of going into it. Of course, Manchester United away from home. You know how that kind of goes. But also, Everton, they've had a pretty tasty couple of weeks or so. Of course, they've got a 10-point deduction after a breach of financial fair play rules. Doesn't mean they're bottom of the league, though. It means they're second bottom. But certainly there's going to be a feisty atmosphere going into the game at the weekend. But United go into the game as the most informed team in the Premier League, DJ. 4 wins out of 5. So how are you feeling going into it? Are you worried about the atmosphere with Everton's 10-point deduction? Or is there actually a room for a little bit of positivity given the recent form that we've had?
You know what? I think you've got to find a silver lining in anything United do at the moment. It's few and far between. But in saying that, look, I guess the stats don't lie. I guess they don't in this instance. But I think United can try and be positive. You know, there's a lot of news and a lot of noise around United as always at the moment. But I think one way to kind of quell that is to actually play well and get those points on the board. So I think if United can just focus on themselves, not necessarily away records or anything like that, just focus on ourselves, focus on the squad we have. I think we can get a 3 points in the game. It's going to be tough, but I think we can do it.
Yeah, just a bit of team news going into the game as well. Of course, United and injuries go hand in hand this season. Yeah. But Luke Shaw, he is back. Eric Ten Hag confirmed in the press conference on Friday. And actually, sort of all week, United had been kind of hyping this up. Interviews, pictures of Shaw in training. But Luke Shaw is back. He's actually been training with the first team for 2 weeks. So he is going to be available at the weekend. Rasmus Højlund's going to be touch and go, according to Eric Ten Hag. Said that he has been, I guess, with the team today, Friday, training. But they're going to have a late fitness test probably on Saturday to see if indeed he can make it. As far as people that aren't going to be available, Christian Eriksen, he's out after suffering an injury against Luton. Johnny Evans, he's still out of action after suffering an injury against FC Copenhagen. There was a bit of concern about Andre Onana after he came off for Cameroon during the international break, but it's been confirmed that he's fit to play as well. So given all of those sort of bits and pieces when it comes to the injury news, what team do you expect to start? I mean, could you say that Luke Shaw could start from the beginning, or is he going to come on later on, do you think?
I think just depending on kind of where Lindelof lies in the pecking order. I think the smart money for me would be to play Lindelof, I think, with Maguire at the back. But then with Rasmus, it's one of those ones where you have Martial, you can come in, and maybe you put Rashford up top and you put Garnacho on the left. So there is options. But I do think we should just go with our traditional kind of how we want to play in terms of having Martial up top. Does Rashford get dropped? For me, he does. I think Garnacho played all right left wing.
Rashford gets dropped?
Yeah, for me, he does anyway. For me, he does. I haven't seen anything from him to suggest to come in and warrant a starting spot at the moment. Not to say that can change, obviously. For me, I'd go with Garnacho on the left. So I think, and then again, it's the right wing. Does Anthony come? Do you play Anthony? So I don't know. I actually don't know what Ten Hag's going to go with right now. If it feels like I've been away from these players for so long, I'm just unsure kind of which way the manager's going to go with it. But I think a key detail will be Varane. Varane will be a key detail.
Wow.
Unfortunately.
I mean, that's another subject, isn't it, when it comes to that? But unsure of the team selection, ready to get your heart broken again. I feel you when it comes to that. I think if I had to go for my sort of predicted starting 11, Onana will play. Right back, Wan-Bissaka is going to be available. He was ill against Luton, so he'll be back. He should start. Centre-back pairing, it will be, I think, Harry Maguire, which means no Rafael Varane. I think Varane will be on the bench. I think left centre-back will be Victor Lindelof. And left back, I think it will be Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw does start. I was a bit on the fence, but then once I heard he'd been training for 2 weeks, I went,
2 weeks,
started.
Yeah, he's ready.
He's starting.
He's ready.
So, and I think he might come off, maybe like 70 minutes, something like that. But I think Luke Shaw starts. Midfield, look, that's an interesting one, a really interesting one, because Christian Eriksen had kind of got his way back into starting more regularly, but now he's injured. So what are we saying? McTominay probably plays? And then
yeah,
you would think your £60 million midfielder Mason Mount would be alongside him. I had this argument with Flex on the morning view. I said I wouldn't be shocked if it was McTominay and Amrabat, but I'm going to lean into what Flex is saying, go with McTominay Mount. Then I think it should be, I agree with you, I think it should be Rashford on the right, Garnacho on the left, and then through the middle, I think it's going to be Martial, because I don't think... But there's a lot that could change in that. Like I said, I'm not going to be shocked if it's Rashford on the left and Anthony on the right. I mean, we can't be shocked if indeed that happened. But, I mean, given all that, that team should be good enough to get a result away at Everton, should it not? Or
it should.
When it comes to the atmosphere and the 10 points, look, that place is going to be rocking. And we have gone to Everton in the past under a big atmosphere. I remember a couple of seasons ago, not last season because we won there, but the season before that under Ralph, Frank Lampard had just come in as a manager at the time, and Everton were terrible. They were rubbish. I think they beat us on the day 2-0, and because of the atmosphere, realistically. So do you have concerns about how we manage that atmosphere?
I think the 10 opening minutes are really important. Really, really important. Everton seem to have a physical midfield, and I think you want kind of your mobile players in there. So McTominay, you mentioned McTominay, good point. I think McTominay will start just because of that mobility and physicality in the middle of the park. I think Mount should be in this game in terms of his mobility, being able to track back and go forward as well. So I think the opening 10 minutes are going to be quite important for Man United, and you just don't want Everton to kind of have their tails up from the word go and get onto us, because that's kind of how you beat Manchester United. You've got to kind of get at them quite early. So if we can manage the first 10 to 15 minutes solid, then my expectancy for us to win the game goes up as long as the game goes. I think it's just being able to manage minute by minute. And I think that's where we're at this season, just managing games minute by minute, moment by moment. The atmosphere is going to be sort of like a cauldron, Everton, going to say it is sort of like a cauldron like that. So, we just have to see, we've seen these players buckle under pressure. And at Goodison, you don't want to buckle under any pressure because you can get run over. You can do. So, yeah, I'm just, it's more hope. It's more hope. I'm hoping that the players are prepared for this. Luke Shaw looks physically fit. He looks like he's been in the gym, Owen. So, hopefully he can bring a boost to us going into this game.
Yeah, I think when it does come to Everton, some team news and bits and pieces on them as well. So people they've got missing, they've got Seamus Coleman, Andre Gomez, Dele Alli all still out. Also, they've got another big player missing, and that's Amadou Onana. According to Sean Dyche, he, quote, won't be right for Manchester United versus Everton amid a calf injury, which, to be honest, that's a massive, massive blow for them.
Big blow
and
for them.
Certainly be in our favour as well. And as I mentioned, despite the 10-point deduction, they've actually been doing all right this season. Their recent form, they've got 3 wins out of the last 5, only 1 loss. That was in the Merseyside derby against Liverpool, in which they were actually really, really unfortunate in that game, had some refereeing decisions that didn't go their way, and they were down to 10 men as well. So it's not certainly the Everton of maybe more recent seasons that have been really, really, really poor. I think it's going to be really, really tough. I think given the atmosphere, given that they're a team that's in fairly decent form, but they've got players missing, I feel like United should have just enough to get past it, but it's certainly a game that has the potential to swallow us up in terms of the atmosphere. And you have to get through that first 15 minutes, either score early, settle the game down massively, silence the crowd, or if you can't do that and they're on top of you, that's when you say, look, just get through it. Get through the first 15, 20 minutes, then you can grow into the game. And most importantly, DJ, take your chances. The game against Luton, oh my goodness me, could have been 3, 4, 5-0 up, but we didn't take the chances in the end. It was Victor Lindelof that had to get the goal. And that's been the story a lot this season of midfielders or defenders getting the goals because the attacking players can't do it. At the presser, Ten Hag said it will come. Those players will score goals. He said Rashford scored 30 last season. Højlund's got 5 in the Champions League. Do you have faith that front three are going to finally arrive and score goals? Or is it still going to be requiring some bailout from some other players?
I have to have faith. I have to have faith. And you know what? I think if Højlund is fit enough, I can see him bagging a goal if he plays. I've been really impressed with him this season. But now that I didn't even know that Onana isn't playing. So that is a massive chink in their armor. And I think if Ten Hag can get the midfield pairings right, obviously we know Bruno's going to be in there, guys. Don't worry, we know he's going to be in there. He's probably the first name on the team sheet. But if he can get the midfield right, I think we can have a lot of success in the midfield. And I would suspect probably, the usual suspects pop up. Bruno might pop up with a goal against them. And you know what? I hope Rashford does. If Rashford does come on and he does play, I hope he gets a goal, because I think he's someone that can get, if he gets one, he'll get two. And, you know, that's just going to obviously lead us in good stead. But I think now that you said that, now Nana's out, I can see Man United maybe 1-0, 2-0. Yeah,
well,
maybe.
I think that midfield battle certainly looks a bit easier, doesn't it?
It favours us, yeah. It favours us a bit. Yeah.
It's a big difference maker for that. Of course, we're not going to have a manager on the touchline as well. Eric Ten Hag suspended. He's got a touchline ban after picking up 3 yellow cards this season. He said in the press conference that a ban's a ban, even if the referees make mistakes. But then he also tried to find a positive out of the situation. He said, I'll have a better perspective on the pitch. So if we win the game, people will be McLaren in, Van der Gaag in, Ten Hag out. You know, that will still remain the same. You know what I mean? Ten Hag stay in the stands the whole time. But let's get into predictions then for the game, DJ. Given everything that you now know, team news, 2 teams that are pretty in decent form, the 10-point deduction, heavy atmosphere, United away from home, which were not amazing, but actually in the last few away games, we picked up victories. What's your prediction?
So my official prediction for this game is I believe it's going to be quite a tough start. I think Everton are going to come flying at us because they have to. But I do think at some point, if we can deal with that, I think, you know, the usual suspects will pop up. I think Bruno pops up with a goal. And I will say either Garnacho if he starts. It could be even a 2-1 or a 3-1 to United. That's what I'm going for. 2-1 or 3-1.
I'm going to... Oh, I tell you what, I'm feeling the 2-1. Usually 2-1 is my go-to.
2-1 safe. Yeah, it's a safe one.
2-1 is my go-to. But actually, I'm going to go with a 1-0 Manchester United. I'm going to go with a 1-0. Yeah. I think that actually recently, defensively, we have improved. Onana's kept a couple of clean sheets. Oh, I just say that. 2-1. It's going to be 2-1. I'm going to go with 2-1. I was just thinking more of like the Sheffield United game, but that was a penalty, actually. And we did pretty well, didn't we, actually, when it comes to that?
Does VAR have a say in this game, Owen?
It does. Of course it does, DJ. Of course it's Man United this season. Of course it does. I mean, like I say 2-1, we'll probably have 3 goals ruled out or something like that, or a penalty at some point in the game, maybe a red card. Yeah. I mean, who even knows at this point of VAR? I mean, that's a completely different show. But yes,
VAR makes an appearance. VAR will make an appearance. Yeah,
of course 100%. It does. Absolutely. Yeah. So DJ's going with a win. I'm going with a win because you've got to, certainly. Yeah. And it's a big week ahead, a big couple of weeks ahead for Manchester United as well. Anyway, guys, let us know your thoughts, your predictions in the comment section below. Your predicted starting 11, your predicted scoreline, and is this the beginning of more momentum for Manchester United? More wins? Are we going to make it? Was it 5 out of 6 in the Premier League as well? Come on, momentum! You just got to believe. Anyway, guys, smash the like and the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Bottom right hand corner. We're out of here. Peace.